Hey everyone, this is the Obsessed Movie Man. Happy holidays, happy new year, and with a new year, we're going to be getting a lot of new movies. Well, duh. But I thought I haven't done a top 5 or top 10 or any kind of top list in a long time. I think the last one I did was in 2012. And I thought, where I think the 2012 one was Silver Linings Playbook. I could be wrong on that. But I would like to give my top 5 favorite films of the year. So I made a promise last year, not on YouTube, but on my private Facebook account, that I would be seeing not just comic book or the big blockbuster movies, but other types of films this year. And I'm going to keep that promise, and we're going to talk about a variety of films I saw. Some I reviewed, some I didn't review. But let's get started. Here are my top 5 favorite films of the year. Prey. I was both excited and nervous for Prey. I think we can all agree that the best Predator film is the first one. Predator 2 has its fans, Predators has its fans. The less said about Alien vs. Predator, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, and The Predator, the better. But Prey does something that I've been wanting this franchise to do for a long time, which is take the series in a different time period. And it shows the Predator's first encounter with humans. It shows how the Predator slowly goes up the food chain from different animals to humans. It shows a different type of hero who's not like a muscle bound machine gun wielding. I mean, you can argue Danny Glover in um, the Predator 2 isn't the same, but I mean, someone who doesn't have a gun, someone who doesn't have explosives, someone who has to take down the Predator in a more intellectual way, more of a hunting way, also kind of like the Predator itself. And I love the cinematography of the film. I forgot who did it, but I love the color palette. It's really gray and kind of dark and gloomy. I love the Predator's new look. And the weapons you could tell are not as advanced as they would be in the later films. And I love the addition of the gun from Predator 2. I think it's a nice way to segue back into the franchise. So, Prey is a great Predator film. It's probably my second favorite Predator film, but I highly recommend it. I forgot, I think it's on Hulu, so go check it out. Top Gun Maverick. Admittedly, I'm not the biggest fan of the original Top Gun. It probably has to do with the time period I grew up in. I was too young for the original Top Gun, so I look at it and I think it's really a product of its time. And I just wasn't really. I mean, the stunts were amazing, the stuff that they accomplished in the original Top Gun, but I just. Something about it just did seem kind of hokey, and I normally like hokey stuff, but it just wasn't for me. Top Gun Maverick comes along, and I'm hearing all this great praise for it, and I'm a little skeptical because I didn't care for the first one, and the main actress is gone. Val Kilmer has a bit role in it, but I go in to see it, and I don't really know how to explain Top Gun Maverick. It's just a fun time. It is a great summer blockbuster movie. It has very impressive aerial stunt work like the first one, but I gravitated towards the story more about Maverick being the last of his class and debating whether he should move on or not. I like how they handled Val Kilmer. I like the conflict with Miles Teller's character and Tom Cruise's character. I think Tom Cruise does a really good job in this. Normally, I just see Tom Cruise playing Tom Cruise, but I could see him playing. I see him as Maverick. Jennifer Connelly is just great in pretty much everything she's in, even in bad stuff like the remake to what's it called, The Day the Earth Stood Still. I think this was a film that you needed to see on the big screen. Everyone always says, "Oh, Avatar, you need to see on the big screen. Avatar, you need to see on the big screen." I think you need to see Top Gun Maverick on the big screen over Avatar. But that's just me. What do I know? I can't doubt James Cameron. But Top Gun Maverick is probably I kind of like it more. I like Tom Cruise's performance in this more than the Mission Impossible films. There, I said it. I really liked Top Gun Maverick, and I highly recommend it. The Batman. Yeah, I had to throw in one comic book film, and I think the best one of the year is The Batman. It in a climate where we're bombarded with Marvel projects, and I do love Marvel. I do want a more serious, more filmmaker driven superhero movie again. I mean, no disrespect to the filmmakers of the Marvel films. It takes a lot of work to make a film. But you kind of get the feeling that all Marvel films are made the same way. This is like takes back to like a Christopher Nolan approach. I know it's Matt Reeves, but it takes a more serious approach. It's more um, auteur driven. It's it's more gritty, and I normally am kind of like, well, Jack, you don't really like the DCEU films, and for the record, I am glad that it's getting rebooted, but that's a discussion for another day. But something about this, it's like it's not devoid of, I don't know what the word is. I don't know how to explain this one either. But it's a more mature, actual adult, more thinking film than a DCU film, where it's just like dark and gritty for the sake of being dark and gritty. This one has a purpose for being dark and gritty, whereas the DCEU film is like dark for the sake of being dark. I love this depiction of Batman. I love that he's not growling and shouting. I mean, there's like a one or two parts where he gets really where he's shouting at like Riddler or something, but he has this hushed voice to him. I love Robert Pattinson's performance as Batman. I still don't know if he's my favorite Batman yet. It's probably still well, in general it's Kevin Conroy. Rest in peace. But I can't tell you if he's my favorite live action. He's definitely in the top three. I'll tell you that right there. I like him even more than Christian Bale, and Christian Bale is the Batman I grew up with. I like the depiction of Riddler. I mean, I'm more into the more theatrical Riddler, not necessarily Jim Carrey Riddler, but more the suit kind of Riddler. But this is, if you want to make a more realistic depiction of Riddler, going the Zodiac route is probably the best way. And speaking of which, the film is heavily inspired by films like Seven and Zodiac. I love Colin Farrell's Penguin. I part of me thinks they should have just gone a guy who's naturally overweight to play the Penguin, but I still think the makeup for Colin Farrell's Penguin, because everyone is talking about how they didn't recognize him. I think that should get a nomination for best makeup. I do really like Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. She's up. I know they're two completely different Catwomen, but I really like. I think she's up there with Julie Newmar for me, because Julie Newmar was I come on, it's Julie Newmar. But Zoe Kravitz is probably the most um, live action film accurate Catwoman we've gotten, representing Selena Kyle, especially from like year one. Who else? I like that it's not necessarily joke. I mean, there is a Joker scene which I thought was pointless, but I like that Joker is not the center of this, and he's not really in it. The cast is just phenomenal. All the cast, like John Turturro, Andy Serkis. Um, I'm blanking on the name who plays Commissioner Gordon. Jeffrey Wright, I believe. And I love the look of Gotham City in this. The music is great. The action. It goes on a little longer. Like the third act, it does fall apart like a lot of superhero films do. Like I think it could have been wound up. That third act with the flooding of Gotham is not, I don't think, needed. But I think The Batman is the best superhero film of the year. It deserves some award nominations, specifically Best Makeup, and I'm looking forward to the sequel. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. So, how I discovered this was the trailer was in front of the number one spot of this film, and I didn't know this was based on a YouTube series at all. I didn't know anything about Marcel the Shell, but I thought the trailer was. It intrigued me. It was just a weird premise, but shot in a documentary style kind of film. And it was animated, but it had some live action elements, which I don't know if it'll get a nomination for best animated picture because of that. But it certainly does. It's my favorite anime. I will call it an animated film because it is animated in some parts, with some live action, like I just said. And it is my favorite animated film of the year. I haven't seen a lot of animated films of the year. Like I haven't seen Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which I really want to see. But I haven't seen Puss in Boots, which is supposed to be very good, so maybe those are even better. But I really love Marcel the Show with Shoes On. It's my first A24 film that I own on Blu-ray. I actively bought it, looked for it because I was frustrated that I couldn't find it in stores, so I went to the A24 shop and bought it. And I love the documentary approach. I couldn't tell if it was stop motion or not, which is a great films that keep you guessing are really showcase the magic of filmmaking to me, and that appeals to me. And sometimes I don't even want to look it up because I kind of want to keep guessing. I love Jenny Slate in this role, Marcel, who's very inquisitive, who's very endearing, who is also very emotional and caring for his grandmother. I love the simplicity of the music. It's kind of a droning ambiance kind of feel. I love the grandmother character, the filmmaker. I love the fact that they call 60 Minutes just the show. They gather to watch the show, which is 60 Minutes. I just said that, whatever. And it's a really. It actually, I watched it with my family recently, and it almost moved my mom to tears. That's how good this. And she doesn't really care for weird stuff. She doesn't really care for animated films, I know. But I think to get a response like that from a film like this, that's weird and animated, is really powerful. And it almost made my number one spot because I have seen it more than the number one spot, but I think the number one spot deserves it more. So, but Marcel the Show with Shoes On, if you can get a copy, I highly recommend it. Or it should be on streaming too. I'm not caught up on the whole streaming platform yet. I still collect physical media. But Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is a film I will definitely be watching more times in the near future. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Dear God, how am I going to explain this film? Um, if you were disappointed, as a friend of mine said, something paraphrasing what one of my friends said, if you were disappointed in how the multiverse concept was portrayed in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, you will probably love Everything Everywhere All at Once because Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness had so many so much potential in how to delve into the multiverse theory, and it just was kind of blasé, I guess is the wording. But Everything Everywhere All at Once opens up so many more possibilities for creativity, and it's so. If you thought Marcel the Show with Shoes On is weird, this is so bizarre. I have met people who admittedly don't like this movie, who admittedly are kind of upset that I put this at number one, and I almost did give it to Marcel, but I saw the trailer for this, and I did hear a lot of craze going for it, so I actively sought this one out too in theaters. I went with my dad, and I thought my dad was going to hate this, but he liked it too. This movie is so creative and so well weird. It's basically about a woman who's living a life that she doesn't want. She's not happy with her life. She's embarrassed that her daughter's gay. She resents her husband who secretly wants to divorce her, and she's behind on, I think it was a mortgage. Admittedly I've only seen the movie once, but it was great. And she finds out like one day her husband starts acting weird and informs her that his reality is under attack by some evil being who turns out to be the. Actually, I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it because I want you to see this movie. His world is under attack by an evil being, and the woman Evelyn is the only one who can stop this evil being from taking over the multiverse or destroying the multiverse. And he believes it's this particular Evelyn who can do it. And the husband is played by, I forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but it's Short Round from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. He's returned to acting, and I'm so happy that he has. He also, I believe, did the stunt work for The Matrix, and he kicks ass in this film with a fanny pack on. Jamie Lee Curtis is also in this film in a supporting role. She's really great in it, as always. Michelle Yeoh plays Evelyn, and Michelle Yeoh also kicks ass. She is great. She's great at the martial arts. She's great at the dramatic acting. I forgot who plays the daughter, but she is also terrific. And there is something about like kind of stories where you are not really happy with your life, but at the end you come to realize that you should be grateful for the life that you have because you only have one, endear to me. Sadness, that kind of story does endear to me, and that's probably why it's at number one. I think it kind of reminds me of Inception a little bit with how you jump back and forth from either different dreams or different realities near the third act, which is kind of cool. It feels like a long movie, but I don't think it really is. I forgot what the runtime is. It kind of feels long, but doesn't at the same time. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I think the action is incredible. It's really fun, especially because of it's Michelle Yeoh and the actor who plays Short Round. Again, apologies for not remembering your name, but I did buy it. I was so happy that I found a copy of it at my local store. Overall, the creativity is what appealed to me about this film, and that is why I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is my favorite film of the year. Thank you guys for sticking with me through this video and through the years, and there are many more videos and reviews to come throughout 2023. Here's to a new year. Take care, everyone.